Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. One easy trait or easy to observe trait of a weasel, of a weak person, of a coward, is whining, crying whenever that person feels threatened. And they feel threatened at every corner. Why? Because they're weak. And they're weak because they are infantile. They don't know what the possibilities are or are not. For instance, if you're afraid to go outside because you've never been outside, you're going to be afraid to walk outside. They're going to be whining. Oh, what if going on? I feel threatened if I go outside. Everybody wants to hit me, that car. Oh, that... You're weak because you don't know, you have no experience. But there are some other ones that are obviously weasels in other way, which is, I would like to be able to punch you, but you are not allowed or maybe incapable of punching me back. Like, for instance, the United States of America likes to punch small countries because the small countries cannot really punch back. Look at the US's record. Always punched with a coalition. And what countries they fought? Yugoslavia, Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, Syria. All these countries are what? 24, and now they fight with the Houthis in Yemen. Thank you very much. Always with an alliance. What does that tell you? Very courageous, very strong, very tough. Now they're fighting Russia, but they don't want to get engaged straight with Russia because Russia can smack them real bad. What do? They use imbeciles. And the imbeciles in this case are the Ukrainians. Sorry to say it, could be Romanians next, could be the Poles next, and definitely the Baltic States are going to get it. And they're crying. The Baltic States right now are crying. Why? Because they're scared shitless. Why? Russia might smack them. They're not going to attack them, but they're going to just little by little, because they can, and they will smack the Baltic States. The Baltic States thought that they're protected. Hey, NATO, we can yell, we can call Russia however we want, we can implement whatever garbage policies we want. There's going to be no reaction from the Russians. The Russians are not allowed and cannot touch us. Well, unfortunately, the Russians can do all that. They are allowed or allow themselves to fuck you up. And now you're crying. Let me show you. To set up how should I put it, this article, or at least to start talking about it, the Prime Minister of Estonia, Kaya something, well, pretty as she is, doesn't matter. It seems like she is lost. She, or at least Estonia, started dismantling the idiotic, but I'm going to tell you, dismantling Soviet monuments from its territory, because the imbeciles, that's imbecilic, equate Soviet, army with a Russian army. And they dismantled the Soviet monuments who fought the Nazis. So what does that tell you? And the Russian says, if you do that, we're going to put you, dear Kaya, I think that's what her name is, I'm going to show you the picture. Kaya, we're going to put in on a fucking wanted list. We want you. You're a wanted person. Arrest warrant. And she's all, I don't know, peeing on herself, and all these guys, you can't do that, Russia. You're so imbecilic. If you dismantle the Soviet army, the Soviet monuments, glorifying the Soviet Union's victory against the Nazism, what does that tell you? That you support the other side. You don't like the Soviets, you must like the other ones then. Or you don't like either. Which one is it? Well, we don't like either. Really? Remember, the Ukrainians fought together in the Soviet army with the Russians. So when you dismantle that, dismantle some Ukrainian soldiers fought over there. Don't believe that they were, you gotta fight for us. After all, I think Nazism was worse than whatever the other guys were saying. Otherwise, not good. In my assessment, both were bad. All right, Nazism in that form and communism in that form. I'm not promoting either of these things, but nevertheless, they decided to do that, and the Russian says, okay, you were too noisy. Now it's time for us to show you a little bit of our attention. And they got the attention. Here she is. Baltic nations protests Russia's list of wanted politicians. Well, let's say it would be Saddam making a list like this. Nobody would give a fuck. Why Saddam? Come on, he can't do shit. The Russians, on the other hand, can. So Kaya, you're crying right now? What can you do? Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. Total population of these three Baltic states, we'll repeat it over and over again so you understand the context, is 6.1 million people. 6.1 million people. A city. Very verbal. Unlike Poland, about 40 million people. Okay, unlike Poland. These guys are 6.1 million. All three together issued a diplomatic protests on Wednesday to Moscow after Russian police put leading Baltic politicians on a wanted list over the destruction of Soviet-era monuments. Well, you see, you imbeciles destroy these guys' monuments, which is okay, well, whatever you want to say. But these imbeciles here destroy their country's history's monuments. These are more imbecilic than the guys over there. At least you can say as a Latvian or an Estonian or Lithuanian, you know what, Soviet Union is this, and for the country that's a bad thing. These are different countries. Soviet Union caused harm to us, even though the Germans allowed you to be caused harm. Why? Because they gave you. The Germans gave the Baltic states to the Soviet Union. Got that? Why don't you go and destroy any kind of, I don't know, let's say German name over there? I don't know, maybe you get to start with Mozart, Beethoven, something like that. Why not? With Honecker and whomever you want. You know what I mean? No, they will not do that. Why? We're friends now. So if tomorrow Baltic states somehow become friends with the Russians, they're going to rebuild those monuments? Do you have values or you don't have values? You can't have selected values. Those are no values. That's what these guys, I think they have or try to have. The three Baltic states were once ruled from Moscow, but are now members of the European Union. Moscow, they make it like it's Russia. See, these motherfuckers from Reuters, see? They made it, they turned it from Soviet Union into Moscow current. So they didn't say Soviet Union, Moscow. No, Moscow, Russia. But are now members of the European Union. This is how they shape opinion. Since the Russian invasion, right there. And since the Russian invasion, so Russia, Moscow, invasion of Ukraine have emerged as staunch supporters of Ukraine and vocal critics of Russia. No, they are just hating these guys right here. That's what it is. It's nothing else. And they are the vassal states of Al Capone. Basically, end of story. If you really have a problem with the Russians, you would just attack them directly one-on-one. But you would not do it. Why? Because you're strong. Estonia's Prime Minister Maria Kallas, and State Secretary Taimar Paterkop were both on the police wanted list, as were Lithuanian Culture Minister Simonas Kairis and some 60 current and former members of Latvia's parliament, according to Russia. Russian state agency TASS said on Tuesday that the Baltic officials were accused of destroying monuments of Soviet soldiers, acts that are punishable by 5-year prison term under the Russian criminal code. Well, that should be everywhere on this world if you destroy, let's say, the American monuments in the, I don't know, let's say in the Normandy. It's the same, I'm pretty sure there's some punishment the same way. So, yeah, but those were the good ones and the other ones were the bad ones. How come? They fought common enemy. And Germany is still under the American occupation. So Germany is even worse than the Baltic states. Germany is still under the occupation since 1945. Baltic states, at least, they gained independence in 1991 or so, after they were given up by Germany. The good guys now. You can make shit up, man. Latvia's foreign ministry, in a statement, said it was working with the EU to address the matter. Yeah, like we were gonna care, the Russians say. You just imposed 1,000 sanctions on us. Actually, it's about 15,000. And you want me to, what, obey by your garbage? Shut the hell up. And was seeking to mitigate any risk of the country's nationals. Excuse me, you attacked us, we're gonna hit you back. But these weasels, they thought that if they can yap all around, they can destroy, do whatever they want, They can do that, but there are consequences. You have to learn this in your childhood. When you're a child, you have to understand actions, decisions have consequences, sometimes positive, sometimes negative. In this case, will be negative. So maybe you should go and look and figure out what you did, and maybe you have to discuss with the Russians. You ran to the European Union. Why don't you talk to the Russians? It's very clear what happened. It's very clear. You know what happened. What do you want the European Union to do? Tell you you're right, we're going to defend you. Hey, Al Capone, are you going to defend these 6.1 million people? Your problem is you and Russia. Talk to them. But hey, go to your masters first. The ministry, and I'm quoting, will continue to sustain with EU and NATO partners, right there, and with other countries in a framework of international organizations. You're afraid, that's why, but you have a big mouth. The issue of Russia's politically motivated cases and extraterritorial targeting. What are you talking about? The Americans invaded 6 countries, bombarded 6 countries since 1991. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? I'm to remind you, Yugoslavia, Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, and you got, if you want, Syria as well. Just to mention these guys. And now you got the Houthis, you got Yemen. And these are the good guys. Yeah. As a policeman, you have to go and show, oh, there she is. She's talking. Yeah, you're on a wanted list. These are the monuments. We can heritage protection of the Soviet symbol monuments. I think that's idiotic. There she is. How is your husband doing? Weren't you the one that you were involved in your husband had some dealings with the Russian firms? She's happy about it. Well, of course. She has to do. That's how it works, my friends. They get you. When they get you something, say you got to do this, otherwise we're going to release this piece of information. But these Russian decisions contradict the generally recognized. Look at this. Lithuania, meanwhile, demanded that its politicians be removed from this. No. Stop talking shit and doing shit, and probably then. But you have to talk to the Russians. These Russian decisions contradict the generally recognized norms. What do I mean generally? They are norms or they're not norms of international law. Show efforts to falsify the past. In what way falsify? You try to destroy the past. I mean, you like it or don't like it, the Soviets fought the Germans on your territory. What do you want them to do? Do you disagree with that? So who's falsifying here? Because you destroy the history, your children will never hear about the Soviets, doing what they did. Yeah, after that, I'm not for the Soviets. Fuck them. The communists, never liked them. Past and show disrespect to the historical memory of Lithuania. So they are the victims. Can you tell? Estonia, in a statement, said its diplomats had expressed indignation. They're the victims, and demanded an explanation from the Kremlin. So the Kremlin has to explain themselves to Estonia, 1.2 million people or something, 1.8, something like this, below 2 million people. Yeah, Russia has to. Jesus Christ. Did Russia do anything to you? Russia did anything to you? You started talking shit. And then this guy smack you with that. Oh, you can't do that. Only I can hit you. Well, recognize norms of warfare. And I'm quoting, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs also notified the representative of Russia that these steps by the Russian state will not stop us from doing the right thing. What's the right thing? Doing the job of Al Capone in Europe, you fucking idiots. And Estonia will not change its resolute support for Ukraine. If it would have been any other country on this planet, and on the other side would have been Russia, you would have supported resolute support for that country. Because you don't look, hey, we like the Ukrainians. The order comes like this. But hey, what do you want? If tomorrow, let's say, the Americans tell them to love the Russians and hate the Chinese, Lithuania and Estonia and Latvia will do and Poland and Romania and these weasel states, they will do exactly that. So don't give me, we're going to resolute support. It's that you receive the list for Al Capone. You don't have even to receive it. You don't have to receive it. You know what you need to do. So here, my friends, you can't, touch them. Only we can hit you. Why do you think the Americans are not getting straight with the Russians? Because they know they can be fucked up. All these Europeans can be fucked up. None of them formed a coalition like they did with everybody else before to attack Russia. Why? Because they know Russia can destroy all of them. Well, I'm not saying the other side is not going to be destroyed as well, but hey, these guys love their lives more than the Russians, I guarantee you that. I'm talking about the leaders. Why? These guys are thinking that they're going to own this planet. The Russians are not thinking about that. Can I speak in general terms? Yeah, I think I just did. All right, my friends, and actions. Actions speak louder than words. If you have your army all over this planet, but you are the what? You're not the expansionist, right? You're not the... No, you're not. You're the good guy. Spare me. Thank you very much for being with me again today. These guys are in panic mode. Well, what can I tell them? Why don't you go and talk to the Russians directly? Go to the European, go to NATO. Make sure that you're defended if they are going to slap you. I guarantee you that if Russia attack you, these guys will not move a finger. I'm talking about attacking you, not the Ukraine, not that kind of attack. No, the Americans will not move a finger. They will talk to Russia. Hey, it's too much, it's too far. I guarantee you that. But hey, you know who's going to lose? The citizens of Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia. Not the leaders. The leaders are over there just to stay in power and follow orders. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.